A clean tech alliance is quietly redrawing the map of global influence. While Washington doubles down on tariffs and legacy industries, Ottawa is securing its future, partnering with a nation leading in renewable engineering, EV innovation, and green hydrogen. This is more than a trade pact. It's a strategic realignment the U.S. may not be able to reverse. Today we're diving into Canada and Germany's multi-billion clean tech alliance the U.S. can't stop. Welcome to Geo Capitalist, where we decode global wealth, one power shift at a time. Today we're looking at a pact that could reshape the global battery supply chain, undermine China's dominance, and sideline Washington's influence. As the race for critical minerals accelerates, Ottawa and Berlin are quietly securing the metals that power everything from electric vehicles to fighter jets. This isn't just about trade, it's about who controls the industries of the future. If you want to understand the real forces shaping trade, technology, and finance, subscribe now because the biggest moves in tomorrow's economy are already in motion today. For decades, Canada-Germany trade was an afterthought in the shadow of North America's economic giant, the United States. But in 2025, that dynamic is changing fast. In the wake of U.S. tariffs, supply chain disruptions, and shifting geopolitical priorities, Ottawa and Berlin are quietly building an industrial alliance that bypasses Washington entirely. It began with aluminum. Canada's clean hydro-powered production caught Germany's attention as the EU looked to replace Russian supply chains. But aluminum was only the opening move. The two nations have since expanded cooperation into battery technology, electric vehicle supply chains, and critical minerals. Germany views Canada as a rare partner, politically stable, resource-rich, and aligned with EU climate goals. Canada, in turn, sees Germany as a gateway to Europe's massive single market and a reliable counterweight to U.S. economic pressure. Behind closed doors, Canadian and German trade officials have been meeting at an unprecedented pace. The result? A network of agreements that combine raw material access with manufacturing expertise, ensuring both sides benefit. This isn't an opportunistic trade boost. It's a calculated realignment that reflects a deeper truth in global commerce. Trust and stability now matter as much as price. And both Canada and Germany are betting that in an era of volatility, those qualities will define the next industrial superpowers. Canada is the world's fourth largest aluminum producer, but what sets it apart isn't volume. It's carbon footprint. More than 90% of Canadian aluminum is smelted using hydroelectric power, giving it some of the lowest emissions in the world. For Germany, under pressure from the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, this is a game changer. CBAM imposes tariffs on imports with high carbon intensity, making Canada's aluminum not just competitive, but strategically essential. In 2024, Canada exported $18.06 million worth of aluminum to Germany, more than double pre-2022 levels. While that's still small compared to Canadian sales to the U.S., the trend is undeniable, and Berlin is already preparing for more. German industrial giants like Siemens and ThyssenKrupp have signed supply contracts extending well into the 2030s. The aluminum trade also opens doors to other industrial collaborations. High-purity aluminum is vital for aerospace, electric vehicles, and renewable energy infrastructure, all sectors where Germany aims to lead globally. In fact, Canadian producers are now investing in expanded smelting capacity in Quebec and British Columbia, anticipating long-term European demand. For Ottawa, the message is clear. The future of aluminum is as much about politics as it is about metallurgy. By anchoring the alliance in clean aluminum, Canada and Germany have created a cornerstone resource that meets environmental, industrial, and geopolitical needs all at once. It's the kind of foundation on which lasting partnerships are built, and from which far bigger deals can grow. If aluminum was the opening act, batteries are the main event. Germany's automotive industry is in the middle of a once-in-a-century transformation, and Canada is now part of its survival plan. Mercedes-Benz, one of Germany's most iconic manufacturers, is testing a new generation of solid-state batteries in its EQS-based vehicles. Developed in partnership with U.S. firm Factorial Energy, these batteries replace liquid electrolytes with solid ones, offering 25% longer range and improved safety. But there's a catch. They require high-purity minerals, including lithium and nickel, that Canada can supply. Volkswagen is going even further. In 2027, its first North American gigafactory will begin producing battery cells in St. Thomas, Ontario. Volkswagen alone is investing over $7 billion in this facility, one of the largest single foreign investments in Canadian manufacturing history. When combined with Mercedes-Benz's battery R&D commitments and long-term mineral supply contracts, the total value of German clean tech investments in Canada is projected to exceed $10 billion within the decade. For Berlin, this isn't just about technology, it's about securing resources. Canada's mining sector offers a politically stable, ethically sourced alternative to suppliers in Africa or Southeast Asia, where labor and environmental practices can be volatile. By aligning battery innovation with resource access, the Canada-Germany alliance is positioning itself to lead in electric mobility. The timing couldn't be better. EU regulations mandate that all new cars sold from 2035 onward must be zero emission. Every component matters, and Canada's role in supplying clean aluminum, lithium, and nickel means Germany's EV ambitions aren't at the mercy of geopolitics. This is how two nations on opposite sides of the Atlantic are rewriting the rules of industrial power, one battery at a time. It would be easy to frame the Canada-Germany alliance as just a trade convenience, but beneath the surface, it's a geopolitical hedge against uncertainty and a deliberate step toward economic independence from the United States. For decades, Canadian exports have been overwhelmingly U.S.-centric. In 2023, nearly 75% of Canadian goods went south of the border. That reliance is a vulnerability when tariffs, political shifts, or diplomatic rifts can disrupt entire industries overnight. Germany understands the risk because it lived it. For years, Berlin depended heavily on Russian natural gas, only to see that supply weaponized during the Ukraine conflict. Diversification isn't just an economic strategy. It's a national security imperative. The aluminum and battery deals fit into a much larger framework, the EU's strategic autonomy agenda. This push aims to reduce dependence on any single supplier or geopolitical bloc, whether that's Russia, China, or increasingly the U.S. Canada, with its democratic institutions, resource wealth, and climate-aligned policies, is an ideal partner. German investments in Canadian manufacturing aren't charity. They're insurance against supply shocks, and the cultural dimension matters. As German companies like Volkswagen and Mercedes integrate Canadian materials into their production, they're also investing in Canadian communities, creating local jobs, funding infrastructure, and embedding long-term economic ties. This is how partnerships become durable when they serve mutual strategic goals and generate tangible benefits for ordinary citizens. Canada-Germany is proving that you can strengthen national resilience while deepening global cooperation. And in today's fractured world, that's no small achievement. The pact's strategic importance comes from quality and carbon footprint. Canadian aluminum production, powered largely by hydroelectricity, has one of the lowest carbon intensities in the world. Under the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, that gives Canadian exports a competitive edge over higher emission producers like China. Beyond aluminum, the trade package includes mineral fuels, ores, and specialized chemicals, resources Germany's industrial base can't function without. Canadian aerospace components are also part of the picture, with German firms relying on Canada's precision manufacturing for both civilian and defense applications. Forecasts suggest that by the end of 2025, Canada's aluminum exports to Germany could surpass $20 million, fueled by the EV battery boom and industrial decarbonization targets. When you factor in direct foreign investment, plant construction, technology transfers, and mineral exploration commitments, the Canada-Germany Clean Tech Partnership already represents a multi-billion-dollar economic shift, with potential to rival Canada's largest historical trade alliances. It's not just about selling metal. It's about selling stability, reliability, and a political relationship that makes long-term planning possible. For German industry leaders facing volatile energy prices and unpredictable trade partners, that stability is worth every euro. When one EU powerhouse makes a move, others take note. And Germany's pivot toward Canadian resources is being closely watched by its neighbors. In 2025, France, Italy, Spain, and Sweden have all increased imports of Canadian aluminum products. While none match Germany's scale yet, the growth rates are telling. Each is building supply lines that bypass the U.S. market entirely. France, in particular, has been deepening ties under the CETA trade agreement, sourcing not just raw materials but also green technology components from Canadian firms. Italy is interested in aerospace alloys, while Spain and Sweden are targeting Canada's clean-mined nickel and copper for renewable energy infrastructure. This diversification benefits Canada too. By spreading exports across multiple EU nations, Ottawa reduces dependence on any single market, making the entire transatlantic relationship more resilient. And then there's the competitive ripple effect. When France sees Germany locking in stable aluminum supplies, or when Sweden watches Italy secure aerospace contracts, it puts pressure on other EU countries to act. No one wants to be the nation left scrambling for resources in a supply crunch. In a world where trade is increasingly about who you trust, Canada is emerging as a go-to supplier for democratic allies, one that offers ethical sourcing, environmental compliance, and political alignment in one package. Germany may be first to formalize a deep aluminum pact, but it almost certainly won't be the last. And that momentum could turn Canada from a regional exporter into a central player in Europe's industrial future. Trade doesn't happen in a vacuum. It thrives on trust, networks, and shared values. Canada and Germany already have deep cultural and historical ties, and these play a quiet but crucial role in sealing big-ticket deals. In 2025, over 320,000 German citizens and residents live in Canada, forming one of the largest European diaspora communities in the country. These connections aren't just symbolic. They influence investment decisions, shape consumer preferences, and create an environment where cross-border cooperation feels natural. Canadian cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal host German cultural festivals, business chambers, and language schools. Meanwhile, German firms like Siemens, BASF, Volkswagen, and ThyssenKrupp operate across Canada, employing thousands and embedding themselves into local economies. Transport links have also deepened. The Halifax-Hamburg direct shipping route expanded in 2024, cut delivery times, and enabled just-in-time manufacturing for German industries. Lufthansa and Air Canada have increased direct flights between major cities, making it easier for executives, engineers, and academics to travel. These ties extend beyond economics. Universities in both countries are running joint research programs on battery technology, climate science, and artificial intelligence. German students in Canadian universities often stay to work in clean energy or manufacturing sectors, further strengthening the talent pipeline. And then there's trust in governance. Both nations share similar approaches to labor rights, environmental regulation, and corporate accountability. This alignment removes many of the friction points that can derail international contracts. So when Canada signs a major aluminum supply deal with Germany, it's not starting from zero. It's building on decades, even centuries, of connection. And that's what makes these agreements so hard to break, no matter which way the political winds blow in Washington or Brussels. The Canada-Germany Clean Tech Alliance is more than a trade deal. It's a multi-billion-dollar strategic realignment. Clean energy, reliable supply, and political stability are becoming the new currencies of global commerce. And in all three, Canada is well-positioned. By diversifying exports beyond the U.S., Ottawa is creating a safety net for its industries. Even if tariffs rise or trade disputes flare up, Canadian producers will have stable demand locked in from Europe. For Germany, securing a low-carbon, ethically sourced supply of aluminum supports its climate commitments without sacrificing competitiveness in manufacturing. But the ripple effects go further. Other EU nations are already considering similar long-term contracts. If France, Italy, or Spain move next, Canada's role in Europe's industrial ecosystem could grow exponentially. Washington will notice. As Canada deepens economic ties with Europe, the U.S. risks losing its monopoly on Canadian exports, a reality that could reshape North American trade policy. The deeper question is whether this is a temporary pivot or a permanent shift. If Canada continues to expand its mineral and manufacturing exports to Europe, the economic map of the Atlantic will look very different by 2030. One thing is certain: the partnerships being formed now, in aluminum, in batteries, in clean tech, are built to last. They're backed by shared values, mutual benefit, and a long-term view of stability that short-term politics can't easily undo. If you found this breakdown valuable, watch our next video. It connects directly to what's unfolding, and don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us decode these global shifts without compromise. Let us know in the comments. Is Canada simply diversifying, or is this the start of a permanent economic pivot? Either way, the world is watching. This was Canada and Germany's multi-billion clean tech alliance the U.S. can't stop. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.